Marilyn, thank you so much for joining us for another month of great Facebook topics on Facebook Live. This is a chance for you to get all of your questions asked because we bring in the experts and this is for you. So do you have a baby on the way? It can be number 1, number 2, you name it. We all have questions, and here to answer those questions is Lanny Dowell, Parent Education and Doula Coordinator at Gbmc. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You have a big job.
I love
at
my
Gbmc.
job.
Yeah, you know, this is exciting for new, especially soon to be parents. It's an exciting time, but it's really overwhelming because there's so much information. People tell you their experiences, what you should do, and you just don't know. So we want to start by, for people in the area, what makes Gbmc a great place to deliver?
Gbmc is an outstanding place to deliver, and I would say I work specifically for Gbmc, and then I do take several private cases a year, but I do that so I can kind of assess other facilities and see what they're doing. I can't begin to tell you the team approach that we have, and I feel like the communication, the family, the coordination within Gbmc is what puts us above all of the rest. It's the communication.
Yeah. What services does Gbmc offer to parents who come in?
So we are the only hospital that has a in-service, fully staffed birth and postpartum program, which is fantastic. And for our new moms, we really look to cover them from start to finish, from conception or even preconception, working with our affiliation with institutions that are there for infertility issues. And then once they've conceived, starting that early tour, early classes, getting them all the way through childbirth education, infant care, CPR, postpartum coverage afterwards, mothers groups, postpartum support, birth doula support, so it's everything.
Yeah, I want to say hi to a bunch of people who just jumped on saying hello to us. Harold, good morning. Barbara, hello. Brenda, Angie. Angie says she's having her second child after 10 years. She's super nervous, so it looks like there's a big gap. So she's like, did I forget a lot after all that time?
It's like riding a bike.
Like riding a bike. All right. Tasha, good morning. Good morning. So thank you guys for joining us on Facebook Live, and ask away any of the questions that you may have about a doula, about childbirth, about what to expect the first few weeks you bring the baby home. A doula, we hear that word a lot.
Yep.
We don't always know exactly what that entails. So what is a doula? Who would be a good fit for us?
So there are two types of doulas. There are birth doulas and postpartum doulas. And birth doulas are women that you hire to work with you from the time you go into labor until the time you have the baby at the hospital. And if you choose to breastfeed, we usually stay for an hour or two afterwards to make sure that that has gone well. And then you can hire postpartum care, where a doula comes to your home after you've had the baby. Sometimes it's the same person. In our program, most of our doulas are birth and postpartum certified, so we can keep that continuity of care going. Plus, they've been with you for a long process. It's nice to come home to your home with you. And then we provide daytime care or overnight care, where the doula does infant care, sibling care, meal preparation, runs your errands, does your laundry, makes your meals, but just lets you adjust to your new addition and enjoy.
So when the doula comes home with you after you've given birth, they sort of seem like maybe a right-hand man or woman, and they know exactly what to do really without you having to ask. Because I would think if I brought someone home, I'm the type that sometimes I would feel bad asking them, can you make me a meal? Or are you sure you want to do my laundry?
Yes, but that's exactly what we do. And we usually do a postpartum interview prior to you coming home. So we know how to run your washing machine and dryer. We know where everything is. We also want to know, what are the trigger points for you? What are the things you're going to stress out about coming home feeling like, I'm not going to be able to stay on top of this? It might even be you have a dog and you just want the dog like some extra love and some extra walks. So our job is to take away all that stress from you and just show up on that day. We already know what this household is like, and we're just part of the family.
Gotcha. So is it a lot of times that they have a spouse in the room and a doula, and they're sort of on either side helping out?
It's absolutely fantastic. I can't tell you how many partners hire us for labor and delivery because they will say, I have no idea. I don't know what I'm doing. And they don't. They've never done this. So to hire someone in labor and delivery with them who can look at a mom and say, I know what you're going through.
Right.
I've been there. And look at the partner and say, this is normal. This is totally fine. She's doing a great job. This is what you can do. This is what I can do. But let's work as a team and make her comfortable.
Okay. Angie has a question on Facebook. Great question. Does insurance cover doula services, or is it out of pocket?
So it depends on the insurance company. We have some insurance companies that pay 100%, some businesses will pay 100%, and others will do 50%. I mean, I had a client that spent about $25,000 on postpartum care. She had multiples, and we were wondering, is there going to be any coverage? So we don't typically submit, but we will submit an invoice for the insurance company, and they paid half of that. So, you know, when you get a check for $13,000 and you're not expecting it, that's huge.
If for someone who wasn't covered or wasn't fully covered, you know, what is the price range for a doula? Let's just say in labor and delivery.
And I would say the average, so labor and delivery is $700 for birth. And then postpartum is close to $25 to $31 an hour versus daytime care or overnight support.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
and
it's very affordable.
Let's just say, okay, so let's say you pay the $700, or if you have a very long labor.
We're there.
They're there.
I just got out of a 34-hour labor, so.
Okay, and it's the same price, doesn't matter how long.
It's the same price, so I'm not gonna, right. There's no way you could charge per
so
hour.
That's the plus side of
it is the plus side. If you have a long one, you're really getting your money's worth.
You really are,
yes.
Okay. Okay, so as far as a doula, they can help you with a birth plan. Talk about a birth plan, what people should have in place. What does a birth plan include?
So I never do birth plans at all. I only do a birth interview because I think an interview gives us, just like this conversation, more of an idea of what to expect, how to be open-minded. Once you make a plan, you like to stick with the plan. And then you feel like if you kind of teeter off of that plan, sometimes people feel failure, sometimes people feel frustration. And I'd rather say, let's look at all these different areas. Medication, are you looking to be medicated, non-medicated, wait and see approach. Every birth is a natural process to me, so there is no unnatural way to have a baby, no matter whether you have a vaginal delivery or C-section. So for me, a birth interview gives me a great idea of what a client might be looking for, what they like to steer away from. No one comes in and says, I definitely want as much intervention as possible. Clearly you don't.
Right.
But we don't know how labor is going to be. We don't know how the baby's going to take labor. So we have to be open-minded.
Talk a little bit about C-sections. Are you seeing more elective C-sections?
No. Definitely not. No,
Okay.
I think it's probably in the opposite direction. I think people realize that they are physically capable of doing this in recovery, and there's support out there that there wasn't before. We have so many transplants to the Baltimore area, and knowing that there are programs like this around, moms are a little bit more empowered to say, you know what, I've got this. I can go through this great education program, and I know that at the end of the tunnel, there's light because I've got someone coming home and we're good.
Gotcha. Let's say you weren't super prepared and you didn't take maybe a birthing class beforehand. What is it like to go into that moment? Is that okay? Will you be okay?
Absolutely. I love it when people are well educated going into it because they really pick up some great information. Moms don't realize things like they could be nauseous between 4 and 7 centimeters, and all of a sudden they may vomit and they're afraid. And it's nice to have those things clear before you go into it. So I would say the more classes they take, the better. But if they show up and they don't, and they have great support, they're going to get the education through the process and be reassured.
Okay. A question coming in on Facebook. Caitlin is asking, does the doula program provide nursing support?
As far as breastfeeding support, absolutely. I was doing it yesterday. It's just kind of like an every other day type thing where a client will call and say, I'm home, things were going great in the hospital. I felt like I had a lot of hands-on, it was wonderful, but now I'm home and I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm struggling. So we'll go and sit with them, and if we feel they really need a consultation in-house, we have an amazing consultation program through Gbmc where moms can schedule a 1-hour breastfeeding consultation, sit one-on-one with an IBCLC certified lactation consultant, and really help troubleshoot major issues. most of the time we can fix them out in the field if it's a latch issue or we're having trouble keeping baby awake. But if it's something more extreme and they really need that one-on-one, we're there for them.
Okay. What are some of the specific techniques that a doula would provide during to help ease the pain during labor?
I would say counter pressure is probably the number one. You don't realize when you have contractions, you know, we're sitting on a chair right now and this chair is really comfortable for us, but if we had a head that was coming down every minute and a half to 2 minutes and hitting a muscle, it's not as forgiving of a surface. So being able to be on things like a birth ball or a peanut ball and having someone do counter pressure on your lower back, pelvic tilts, but different positions to kind of open up that area to give more space for that head to come down and not have so much resistance makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. So for first time soon-to-be moms, labor and delivery sounds terrifying. And
Not at
so
all.
Afterwards, I mean, what sort of pain could you be in and how long could that last?
So after you have a baby, if you have a vaginal delivery, it really depends on how long you were pushing. Did you have an epidural? Did you not have an epidural? If you had an epidural, you're probably not going to experience too much until a couple hours afterwards, and you'll be uncomfortable. There are these amazing ice packs that we have, and they're like the best thing since sliced bread. But the ice packs are great. Most moms can get by with just taking Motrin on occasion for a vaginal delivery. By the next day, they're fine. They probably don't need much. For a C-section, you're going to be alternating with the Motrin, and I would say most moms do extremely well with a C-section. They're up, moving, walking the next day. They're ready to start eating. And
yeah, there are a lot of women who, you know, you said that's why I don't make a birth plan, because a lot of times baby does what baby wants, right?
Absolutely.
And so there are a lot of women who go in, they have this idea, and then maybe they end up having a C-section. Yes. But from what you see, they're going to be okay too. Like
they're going to be fine.
It's all going to be fine.
Absolutely, they're going to be fine. There's so much education and support within our hospital system to really help prepare moms and get them up, get them walking, teach them how to be more comfortable, and then you have something to be excited about. You have this baby, so part of that discomfort, it's gone.
Okay. Talk about the warm line and who can call it.
Anybody can call the warm line. It doesn't matter where you have delivered, and that is everything that has to do with breastfeeding for Gbmc. It does not matter to us where you have delivered. We want to support the community. So we have this great number you can call 24 hours a day, and if you call in the middle of the night, someone usually gets back to you within 20 to 30 minutes and helps to answer your question. But you can also schedule consultations anytime through that warm line, and then we'll get you in to see somebody. There's also a mother's group and someone that works through the warm line who is a certified lactation consultant, runs that mother's group on Fridays from 10 to 12:30 and provides lactation support, bottle feeding support. So it doesn't matter to us, breast or bottle. Of course, we would love everyone to be able to breastfeed, but not everybody can breastfeed. Right. Not everybody's milk comes in. Not everybody's baby wants to latch, and it's supposed to be a time of enjoyment. So
I think when you're pregnant, you're soon to have the baby, you're thinking to yourself, it can oftentimes feel like you're the only one going through that. Is there, what do you recommend for new moms to meet other new moms or people in similar situations? Are there groups out there that
There are
you
groups,
recommend?
there are classes. The classes are the best way to meet other moms because we do a round robin in the class and everyone talks about when they're due, if they want to share what area they live in, if they favor a specific coffee shop or a park that they like to go hiking in. Most of our moms will establish play groups and get-togethers, which we absolutely love and strongly encourage.
Gotcha. Okay, that's great. Another question someone had is, at what point in your pregnancy should you book a doula?
Early, if possible. The earlier, and I say that only for scheduling for myself, so that was rather narcissistic, but it truly is. It's just easier for me to schedule. There are many times where moms will call last minute, and what happens is you have a baby, day 1 and 2 for vaginal delivery in the hospital are great. We send you home day 3. What moms don't realize is, and dads never realize it for the most part, that day 1 and 2, the baby's only getting colostrum. So your milk doesn't come in until day 3 or 4. We send you home day 3. And things look like there's been peace in the world in the hospital, and then all of a sudden we send you home and we had a super juicy baby that was born with lots of fluid. They've excreted all of that, and now they're getting hungry, and they're getting a little angry about it. So we send you home day 3 with this child that's crying, and they're not happy, and their moms are trying to figure it out, and your milk's coming in. And that day 3 and day 4 are big transition days. We like to provide the greatest amount of care initially, especially on day 3 or 4. Those are the days, if you can arrange support, we will make every effort to even break our, we don't provide weekend support, just so we can provide that and get you off to a great start.
Gotcha. What is colic? When does it start? And what can we do for it?
Oh, colic is not fun.
No.
I had my first on a, I'm in this business. I started getting into this. I had a child, my first daughter, on a Monday. I tried to return her Wednesday. I was done. And I walked into the pediatrician's office and I'm like, I will take any other child you have in here. We're just going to forget this ever happened. It was the most miserable. And I thought, how is it that this is happening? But it truly was that first couple nights, right? You come home and you've just brought home this beast. So, and she knows I call her that all the time. But, you know, colic, they've gone back and forth. Sometimes they'll say it's a undeveloped intestinal tract. It just can't, it's not mature enough to really push through the gas. Sometimes it's food issues. But I mean, I had a daughter that cried from 4 in the afternoon till 7 in the morning. And if I wasn't crying, my husband was crying. But one of us was having a daily meltdown. Yeah. And if I knew then what I know now, I feel as if I would have been so much more prepared and able to have survived the experience. Yeah. The only thing I can say to every parent is you just, when you have your baby, have a conversation with your baby, just you and your baby one day, and you look at your baby and promise them, I will always, always love you, but I will not always like you. It's just the truth. And it's just real, and it's true. I'll always love you. I'll protect you till the last day. Yeah. But there are days I'm not gonna like you.
Yeah.
And to this day, my teenage son still looks at me and he goes, this is that day you don't like me so much, Mom. I'm like, this is that day.
So it lasts forever, right?
It's forever.
We have a question on Facebook. What if you do book a doula, but when you go into labor, that doula is unavailable? What happens?
So we don't schedule client with doula, and that's what we love about our program. You meet at least 2 of the 4 birth doulas that are within our program, and we have a pretty good sized staff for postpartum as well, but the 4 of us that cover birth we could be sisters. I mean, we're very close. We know each other's styles. We sit on each other's births to kind of gain a perspective of what the other person might do. But we don't want to match up a specific mom with a specific person. It will not matter to you when you go into labor which one of the 4 of us walks in the room. We all have the same skill set. We're all loving, nurturing, and compassionate. We're great with breastfeeding. So you will always have coverage, which is why we love the doula program at Gbmc, because we have that backup coverage. If you schedule a private doula, number one, you don't really know. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that say there are doulas. Mm-hmm. Okay. People will market things that really are not necessarily factual. You might get referrals. Gbmc does a background check on everybody. There's screening done. There's flu shots, everything that you need to have to be working and should have to be working with a family and a baby, every staff member has.
So you're also the coordinator for parent education. You know, talk about some of the classes that you have first for parents or soon-to-be parents, and then if you had to take just one class, what would you recommend for first-time parents?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I don't think
I've
ever
been
just asked.
Is
that's
there one
okay.
that stands out more?
It would
really useful?
Depend. I would say it probably depends a little bit on your personality. Infant care, to me, if you've never had child care experience, infant care is a wealth of knowledge as far as diapering, soothing, swaddling, how to administer medication, when to call a pediatrician, really troubleshooting things and feeling empowered to go home with a human being. So I think that's a great class. My skill set would have to say the one class every parent should take is CPR. to go home with a baby and you're feeding, and babies can choke on breast milk, they can choke on formula, you know, you're feeding them food at 5 months.
Right.
So CPR is great.
And we just put up the parent education classes that you have, so preparation for childbirth, sibling classes, the weekender, preparation for child, OB tour, breastfeeding. So you have many, many classes out there. Here's more,
classes.
infant care workshop, CPR, infant and child. So you can see these. How can you get an appointment for a class?
So all you have to do is go online and register for classes right online. Okay. If you register for any of the childbirth education classes, which are either the Weekender, which is our four-week series in one day.
Okay.
So you can spread it out over 4 weeks, 1 day a week, or you could do it in a Weekender format, or we also have a Born-Free class for moms that are looking to really achieve a non-medicated delivery, and it gives them an extra skill set to go in with that open mind. Doesn't mean you can't change your mind, but it just means that we're going to give you some extra tools to really get through with you and your partner for a non-medicated, especially for moms that want to labor at home as long as possible, which is great.
How much do classes run?
Classes are $75 for a childbirth education class, you know, anywhere from...
And so important.
Oh, huge.
We just took a, you know, what to expect the first few weeks, and it was so helpful.
Isn't it great?
Yeah. And the CPR class, we did that.
Good for you.
That was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had one more question. I know we have to get going soon. And Kimberly, we did talk about this earlier, but just for anyone who joined us, how do you go about getting a doula?
Yep.
And you said insurance.
Some insurance covers cover. Some companies do. The one thing I will tell you, postpartum, so many partners will go to their business and say, if you would like me back this week, then paying for doula care is going to be helpful because I'll come back to work.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to leave my partner and have him or her home without feeling like there's some additional support.
And that's an interesting point, that your spouse can also go in asking for
Absolutely.
For this too. It doesn't have
to be husband, wife. It could be, you know, partner,
okay,
whatever.
Great. And then, so how do you make an appointment with a doula at GBMC?
You can go right onto the website. If you go to that www.gbmc.org/parent-ed, there's a link for doula support. You can email anytime, mdowell@gbmc.org, and then I respond right away and send you a package of information.
Great. Well, so much good information today.
Yes,
I know I
you.
could sit here and chat with you all day with all my questions too. So this was a great topic, and I know there's so many people out here who, you know, needed this information as well. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, and good luck to you.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us. We'll see you next month here for our Facebook Live with GBMC. Have a great day.